I think we're on.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the Thursday, February 9th Planning Board meeting. This meeting is being recorded. I would also like to note that Kevin Weinfeld, our chairman, and Gary Whitehouse are both attending via Zoom. The first item on the agenda this evening is old new business, planner's report.
Yes, thank you. So the good news is about the Walnut Street project, the infrastructure part of it, is we are going out to bid. Pleased to announce that we're going to be doing that in the next few weeks and hope to start construction relatively soon. So hopefully we have some more detailed news about that, but I can tell you that we're going out to bid. With respect to the zoning board, as you know, they've had a 119 Moore Street in front of them. We're anticipating a decision will be made next Thursday night on that. We thought it might be last meeting, but there was some deliberation and some discussion, but we expect that it will close and be decided finally this next Thursday night, week from tonight. And then no break for them because then they're moving right into the Walnut Street 40B, which is, a slightly different product in that it's a housing authority sponsored project with all 200 units affordable for seniors. The schedule, I've listed it here. It's fairly aggressive, and the reason for that is, again, it's a different type of 40B in the sense that it's a public housing project that we've all worked on for a long time, and there's an opportunity for funding to be obtained, we hope, that would require an April application date for the low-income tax credits, and because it's a former DCAM property. So, plus the zoning board's kind of tired, and while, this will be an extra load for them for 2 months, they've been meeting intensely since July. So I think they don't mind kind of stepping it up in order to not get it over with in a way. But obviously, the zoning board, they'll never rush anything. They never take shortcuts. So lest anybody think that means there won't be due diligence, there will be. The plan, we're going to talk about that project specifically shortly because later in our agenda because the zoning board would like some comments from the planning board, amongst others. Central Street Veterans Parking Lot, that's the lot behind all the businesses on Central Street. We've been working hard on that. We had a stakeholder meeting earlier this month, and we had about 14 stakeholders attend. I was out walking it again today with an abutting landowner and DPW director. So we're working out things like the dumpsters and whatnot. The good news is we did get $50,000 in funding from, thanks to Jay Barrows and Senator Feeney, and Chris's quotes on asphalt have come in, and it looks like we are going to be able to repave that lot, which will be great because it'll just really, step it up and make it a little safer to traverse. We're going to have to get a sign back up to indicate that the Wall Street access is one way. That sign fell down and it's dangerous. So these are all things we're hard at work on that. A little bit more about the uptown parking and circulation. The DPW is in the process of installing 10-minute parking signs on certain locations. And then we're also working with Station 1/Shoveltown to determine daytime loading space on Rock Hill Street. They're also trying to add another accessible space on Rock Hill. So we're working all around all that, but we want to make sure that we're seeing Rock Hill blocked off sometimes, so we're trying to see if there's a way to deal with that. Although I will say I was on an economic development roundtable yesterday with about 40 planners in the state, and a lot of them in the eastern part, Cambridge, Arlington, Watertown, those types. And so I did ask the question about how people handle deliveries and the disruption to, say, roads, sidewalks, parking lots, and it was kind of good and bad to hear that everyone has the same problem and there is no solution. So, it's frustrating, but it just seems like the way the woman from Dedham was saying that she noticed that Coca-Cola trucks were coming to all the restaurants in Dedham Square. And so she worked so hard to try to get the Coca-Cola trucks to coordinate deliveries. So there was like one truck going to each business. And she's like, by the time I left that job, I had never conquered the Coca-Cola trucks. So it was kind of comical where it's like we all kind of deal with the same problems. But we are trying to see if there's a way to figure something out, at least on a part-time basis over there on Rock Hill. People are not using the Uptown Schneider lot. I got a text from Chief Grace, I think it was Sunday. Uptown was booming with Oliver Jr. and football on TV, or what, maybe not, there wasn't much football on TV, but something was going on uptown, and Judy's was full, Bank of America was full, and the Schneider lot had no spaces. So trying to figure out that's just like a desire for people to walk, because Sunday was
cold last
warm.
week.
No, Sunday was warm.
Was it?
Sunday
Yeah.
was warm, yeah.
So it's just lack of visibility, and people are just, I said, like, if it's Foxborough people, the hardest thing is Foxborough people kind of know the deal, and they're almost the worst ones. I mean, I don't mean that derogatorily, but like, they know they're not going to get towed probably. They're not going to do it, so they kind of jam in, whereas people from out of town might be a little more worried to park in Judy's because they might be afraid. So I kind of laughed. I'm like, it's probably local people. So those are the ones we see. But it's, you know what, everybody made it through. I don't know how it was at Bethany on Sunday, Jeff, but,
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
No one's coming before 11 o'clock anyway.
Right.
So
So it's just a
hasn't been an
bustling uptown is what it is, I guess.
On the delivery stuff, is that a daily occurrence?
I don't know.
And it would be on the other side of the street anyway, wouldn't it?
It would be on, I think, the theater side.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, why couldn't they just I assume they're just coming in box trucks. They're not, they surely can't be coming in.
They said it's
Tractor trailers,
occasionally
could
53 footers, but rarely, mostly not.
Well, we can talk. I don't
Yeah.
see why you couldn't tuck into the alleyway between the theater temporarily, if they're daytime deliveries.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll have to see. Yeah, I don't know. They're working with the theater, and we thought we had it worked out, and then we remembered the accessible space, because we were going to kind of for the daytime, just have a temporary loading area for the first 2 spaces up by the theater, so they could just pull up there, do it. But then we forgot there was going to be an accessible parking space there, so then that means they'd have to go further down, and
And they need to access that undergrade ramp. Yeah.
I don't know for sure. So we're working with Frank, we're working with the theater, and we know we have you if we need to, so we're working on it. We have a Route 1 sewer grant, $400,000, thanks to Jake Auchincloss and his community project. So we're pulling together a meeting right now for March 6th, and they've asked us to invite all the neighboring communities. So we have Plainville, Rentham, Sharon, Walpole, and actually Plainville suggested we invite North Attleboro because their wastewater goes there. So we've invited North Attleboro, so that will be interesting. And then our new town manager, John Cordair from Northborough, will begin on April 10th. Bill Keegan's retired now, but he's working on a consulting basis for the town. His last day, he'll have an overlap of about 3 days. And then, as a reminder, Bill Keegan's retirement party at the Lakeview Pavilion is March 30th. Let me know if you need to know how to buy tickets, since I'm in charge of it. And then the MBTA communities requirement, we did file an action plan with DHCD. And basically, as I think I might not have mentioned it to you guys yet, that we're pushing it off because we have a pilot on the commuter rail. So we want to wait and see if we're going to be an adjacent community or a commuter rail community. So Diana did today post the action plan on the website, so it's up on the website. And but for right now, we're kind of sitting tight while we figure out more so what's happening with the commuter rail. And I'm glad we filed the action plan, because I saw in the Globe this weekend that only 7 communities did not file action plans. So we would have been quite it's not like we could have blended in with that. 7 out of 175 or 177 is kind of a small number. And that's all I have.
Okay, anything on active subdivisions? Okay. Action items? Diana?
I sent out the minutes of January 12th yesterday, and December 8th, we didn't approve them at the last one. I didn't put them on this agenda. Do we have to wait for the next agenda, or can we add them to this?
I don't know.
I sent both sets out. I think we can refresh your memory for
I do too.
December.
Yeah, we think we can approve them.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve both the meeting minutes from December 8th as well as January 12th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a bond release request for 17 Glenwood Ave, Briarwood Construction.
So I received a request to release the bond for 17 Glenwood Ave. The project is complete. I did consult with Chris Gallagher since they were doing inspections on the site, and he's okay with with releasing the bond. The work has been done. The one outstanding thing was the paving of Glenwood. And that was done, and Briarwood paid for the portion of the work that needed to be paid by them. So I recommend that the board vote to release the funds. And may I remind you that we have 2 members that are on Zoom, so we need to do a roll call vote, please.
Okay.
Make a motion to release the letter of credit on the subdivision known as the Homes at Glenwood, covering 17 Glenwood Avenue, Foxborough, Mass., drawn under Rockland Trust Company, irrevocably standby letter of credit number 3175, dated May 5th, 2023, for Briarwood Construction Corp. in the amount of $20,000.
And I would second that.
All in favor? Roll call vote, please. Mr. Wall?
Gary, aye.
Kevin, aye.
Jeff, aye.
Tracy, aye.
Ron, aye.
And for the record, Kevin did say aye. but-
Yes.
And raised his hand.
Kevin, you are on mute.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, you're forgiven.
Right now.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is Lawson Farm subdivision. Mr. Buckley?
Mr. Chairman, good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group. I'm representing the applicant, Lawson Phase 2 LLC. And this is, we're here this evening and we filed a request back in January in order to, condition 20 of the special permit issued back in 2016 required the roadway to be completed by December 1st, 2025. And then there was, was supposed to be completed by December 31st, 2021, and then it was extended by the COVID emergency to April 6th, 2023. So that completion date requirement is coming up on April 6th. And as we talked at one of our previous meetings, Mr. Bonvy wanted to move forward and keep going because the market is good right now for him. And the weather seems to be good, so he wants to strike while the iron is hot. And so what we're proposing is that the board grant an extension to December 1st, 2025. Just as a refresher, I'm actually going to put this up so everybody can just kind of remember what's going on up here. So this is a plan that shows the different phases of the project. The yellow is phase 1, which is complete. The houses are all in. There is some curbing and some sidewalk at the entrance still remaining to be done for the islands and over on the right side as you look at this plan, and a little bit up top here where the gas is going to be coming in. The second phase, the roadway is up to base course. Water's in. The lots have been released. 8 of the 11 lots have been released by the board. The third phase is in the white here, and that would be the last phase, and it's 7 lots. At one of our meetings, I forget which one it was, the board said, please, we had that issue where we ordered granite, it got sold out from under us. So the board said, we want to just see you put some skin in the game. So what I did is, in this letter I included with you, I showed you where all the orders of the water line, the drainage is in. We didn't do curbing because curbing is actually the last thing you do, and we probably wouldn't be doing curbing until the fall here. But you can see all the other infrastructure, and if you drove down there, you'd see it's on the ground, down there up at the old cul-de-sac, and then down where the roadways intersection, a lot of the drainage is in this area here. So I think that we've done the things that you've asked us to do. The reason I asked for 2025 which seems like a long time, is 3 more years, but we were looking at the construction schedule. So, as I stated, 8 of the lots have been released, and I think all 8 have been sold. I know they've been talking to me about doing septic design. So what we expect to do this year is, in the spring, we expect to do finishing, put sidewalks in, put curbing in, and we can't do that. Actually, the subdivision regs, I was reading them, and you're not supposed to install them until the driveways are installed. But there's a lot of things in the regs that contradict each other. So what we want to do is once the septic designs which show the driveway and the house are all completed. Now we'll know where the curb cuts are. So he wants to get the curbing and the sidewalk in that point. So what we expect to happen this year, curbing, sidewalks, and trees for phase 2, and then hopefully most of the lots, houses built on phase 2, maybe not completed, but certainly under construction. And then if the board grants the waiver or grants the extension for phase 3, 2024, the roads would be built this year for phase 3, that last section. The homes would be built, and we'd probably ask for lot releases, hopefully this fall, if the road gets built. And so those homes would be built next year, be finished up next year. And then once those houses are done, we would top coat it, because you don't want to top coat it with a lot of construction going on. And then it has to sit for a year. So now we're into 2025. So I'm eyeballing the fall 2025 town meeting to accept the road. So that's why I was asking for that length. I think that's it.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board?
No.
I do have one question, Bill. The third phase, that portion of the road is passable at this point in time, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that was part of the agreement that we'd had, that would be brought up to an area that emergency vehicles could get through, so. That being said, I don't really have any issues either, Jeff.
No.
Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Weinfeld, any comments?
I just wanted to make sure that, I just wanted to confirm the fact that we have a bond in place already for phase 3, or that hasn't happened yet, Bill?
No, there's no bond for phase 3. We won't give you a bond until we ask for lot releases on phase 3.
Okay.
Gary, did you have something?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I make a motion to approve the request for extension at Lawson Farm subdivision till December 31st, 2025.
December 1st.
December 1st, 2025.
I'd second that.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Both?
Gary, aye.
Kevin, aye?
Tracy, I.
Jeff, aye.
Ron, aye.
And Mr. Buckley, can you just remind Mr. Bonby to stay on schedule? Like, the extra time doesn't mean he has extra time?
I think once he gets his money from the bank, which should be shortly, he'll be more than motivated to keep things moving. You know, when you're paying that interest every month, it's motivating.
Yeah, good.
At the new interest rates, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Next item up for discussion is the Walnut Street comprehensive permit. Ms. Duncan?
Do we want to skip that and go to the public hearing first? And then we could do Walnut Street at the end?
It's after 7:15, so we can absolutely do that. Right after Tracy returns.
You could probably start, she'll catch up.
Well, she has the notice, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for her. We'll just take a quick 2-minute recess. I used to like recess.
Do we get to go to the swings during recess?
What is it?
Scrabble.
Square ball.
Oh, square ball.
Basin size will be the same, everything is the same. We're just
Yes, we did.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My father never actually calls me. So when he does, I kind of have to. Oop, I'm here, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Okay, we were just opening the public hearing. Okay, Mr. Buckley.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name's Cameron Gray. I'm here tonight on behalf of our client, Blue Diamond, to discuss the site plan that was submitted for our project at 61 East Belcher Road. So it's 61 East Belcher Road, consists of 2 parcels. So we have this front parcel out here, and then he just recently acquired this rear parcel here. So in total, it's about 9.57 acres, and it's located on the southwestern side of East Belcher Road. So East Belcher Road's out here. The lot is serviced by a common driveway, and this driveway was granted by a variance by the Foxborough ZBA in February of 2001. And this front lot was also one of 5 lots created by a Form A granted by the board in May of 2001. The property is located within the limited industrial zoning district and is bordered by commercial facilities to the south here. And then it's undeveloped land to the north up here and to the east over here. Or I'm sorry, to the west over there. Half the property serves as an equipment annex for our client currently, so that would be this front parcel here. It's entirely cleared. It's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can zoom in.
escape button.
But the existing wood line is right here. And then that front parcel is basically entirely cleared up till that point. And then the rear parcel,
Screen sharing's paused.
sorry about that. Okay. So the existing wood line is right here along the edge of the basin, basically. And then this rear parcel is currently undeveloped and consists of a wooded area. So we're proposing the construction of a 6,250 square foot warehouse. The building will consist of individual contractor bays. It'll have garage doors to access it along the front of the building here, and additional garage door to access on this side here. So we're proposing a total of 7 parking spaces to the north of the building here. And the remainder of the property out back here will be cleared, so that way it can be used as an additional storage for our client. The site is serviced by municipal water and will be serviced by a conventional septic system. I'm sorry I don't show it on my rendering, but the septic system will be located out front here. The on-site stormwater system will consist of roof drains and deep sump catch basins, as well as a stormwater basin. So all the runoff from the parking area will go into 2 catch basins located at the front of the parking area here before being conveyed to the stormwater basin. And the roof runoff will be conveyed separately to the stormwater basin. We're also proposing an additional detention basin at the back of the lot that'll capture the runoff from most of the proposed additional storage area. So the stormwater system has been designed to comply with the Mass DEP stormwater standards, as well as the Town of Foxborough Stormwater Management Bylaw. And then we're proposing a 10-foot buffer strip along the neighboring properties here. It will consist of plants and trees, so you can see it right along here. And I'm sorry this rendering isn't up to date. We've also are proposing a 10-foot natural buffer that'll go along this back parcel here and will encompass the whole thing. We've prepared a stormwater pollution prevention plan as well as a storm as well as a snow storage plan that has been included at sheet 7, the site plan. I think that's it. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Kim, I have one, excuse me, one question.
Yep.
What is the purpose for clear cutting the whole lot?
So our client wants to maximize the site, so he has a lot of equipment right now up here in his current equipment annex.
Okay.
So he recently acquired this parcel with the hopes that he's able to clear this back parcel and just increase his storage area.
Okay.
What does he have out there?
He's a heavy equipment contractor, so he has a variety of materials as well as excavators and other machinery out there.
And what would be the grades on that back parcel?
So the grades back here, we just kind of picked a grade in the middle here, so I think it's, so I grabbed that 268 contour and just basically did a 5% grade back up to back here. So it's a pretty big cut in the back, but if you go out there, this site, there's a bunch of ledge outcrops. So really, he just wants to knock it down so that way he has a level area to store his equipment.
Oh, I guess that will be a cut.
Yeah.
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 I do have a question. Is there any on-site fuel storage?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
No.
So Cam, this is Kevin Weinfeld. I'm just curious, you said in the beginning of your presentation that on what I think is in lot 1A, they're currently storing materials and there's some kind of a structure out there, but I don't see it on your plan. So where does that exist?
So there's currently no structures on the lot out front there. It's just storage equipment annex for the client currently.
So it's whatever's in that, where you have it on the blacktop there, well,
So there's currently.
So where the warehouse is going to be, is that where it is now today?
No, so there's no buildings or structure out there. This lot is just clear up to that wood line and just consists of a gravel area.
Outline the whole area where.
So, but he has equipment stored there today?
Yes, he does. Yeah. So it's,
Okay.
I can kind of outline it here. So it's just basically this front parcel, it's encompassed by rock walls for the most part. And it's just a large gravel area.
Could you outline what's currently cut?
That's what he did.
Yeah,
That's it.
that whole 1A, correct?
Yeah, yeah, so
Okay.
it's all this front lot
So it's just
long.
this piece that hasn't been cleared.
Yeah, so that back parcel is currently all woods.
Do we have any comments from any other departments?
Let's see what we have here. Just, the Board of Health made sure that there was gonna be no floor drains in the new building. Make sure that if there were any water and oil separators were in place. Just addressed.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
A couple questions. So has the fire chief or one of the sergeants weighed in on this road?
Did they, or they did?
No, I'm asking if they did, and what did they say?
They did, actually. I did get an email from Deputy Larissy. Let me see if I can, I don't know if it's in there, but I can find it if not.
And then as you're looking that up, my other question is there any, because this does abut some residential, is there any, from a noise perspective, hours of acceptable operation?
Well, they have to follow the noise requirements.
Which are?
What is it, Monday through Saturday, no Sundays?
Yeah, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, thanks.
There are some concerns here from Jane Pierce from Conservation, as far as fuel storage on the site, which Mr. Whitehouse had brought up. She also has concerns about the loss of vegetation and habitat. I don't know where you stand with Concom at this point.
So we actually met with COMCOM earlier this week, and up in their jurisdiction here, we've agreed to just basically pick up the parking area, building, and stormwater basin and shift it slightly to the left, so that way we're pulled a little bit further away from the 25-foot no disturb in order to preserve a little bit more of that buffer zone.
Talk about the endangered species.
She was looking up the fire.
Tell them about it.
Okay, and then this lot also falls within endangered species area.
Right.
So our client took the necessary steps by hiring Oxbow Associates in order to obtain the proper permits and get this project approved.
So that's still open with Concom.
Yes.
Yeah.
The plans were
And Kevin
also,
Weinfeld again, I'm sorry.
go ahead,
Just
Kevin.
one other question, which is, so now, once they build this new structure, the contractor base, and they have the lot there with the parking, et cetera, are they just gonna drive off that asphalt onto the rest of parcel 1A? And, in order to get to their equipment, how's that all gonna work when they're trying to get their equipment out and across a new asphalt parking lot and down the road to go out?
Yeah, so the idea is that he'll be able to drive right out the asphalt and access any of his equipment. And he also, when he picked up this parcel in the rear, he has an easement down here.
Yeah.
So the idea is that he'll be able to grab his equipment and can go down this gravel drive and be able to drive right out.
He has an easement over Mr. DiGirolamo's family's land?
Yes.
So how does he get to that now that you put a buffer there?
So I'd show the buffers, the buffer right up to here, and then the 10-foot buffer, the natural buffer will be right along here. But in this area where I.
No, but how does he access? Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, like in this area here where I show the driveway and the grading, that will all be cleared.
So he'll be able to come down there somehow and then access through Mr. DiGirolamo's property?
Yeah, so this, I should have put a limited clearing line, but if you can follow my mouse here, this is basically it.
Can you just screen cap it and send?
And there's no, but you had said that right where the lions and the new section, there was supposed to be a buffer. So is there going to be a hole in the buffer?
Be a buffer on the opposite side.
Yes. And is this road easement in use today?
No. Doesn't exist. I mean, there's no driveway there, just on paper.
Down at the bottom.
All right, what about the utility easement at the bottom?
It's just on paper. It's nothing, nothing. I'll give you some history of this. Kevin probably remembers, back when this was formed back in 2000. So this, if you look at the plan, it looks like it's Form As. It looks like it's 5 Form As on East Belcher Road. But between the upland and East Belcher Road, there's a wetland that covers most of it. You can't really see it on this. So the ZBA granted a variance to allow a common driveway. So, and not to have access across your frontage. At the time, the backland that currently is shown as Lions and actually Mr., I forget the name. It's the name of a endangered species organization to the back there, but Lions in the back, and then our parcel here, which we purchased, was all part of a piece of land owned by S&S Realty Trust.
This is.
And then they conveyed it years ago to the, God, I can't think of it, my mind is gone, but it was
I think it was Shriners.
Shriners, yes, thank you. It was to Shriners, and then the Shriners just sold it in pieces. So a piece went to Lions, a piece went to Mahoney's, and a piece went to that Wildlife Trust, which is to the west, which you can't see on this rendering, but you can see it on your plan. So at that time, when we went for the variance, Mr. Spillane, Frank, not Mr., but Frank came in representing the Shriners and said, we would like access through it. So as one of the conditions, or one of the agreements, I'm not sure which, that when this land was created, when this Form A was done, that was included in there. So all of the land back there that was owned by Shriners now has access through DiGirolamo's property to the driveway to Belcher Road. Does that make sense? I know that was confusing.
And is the driveway the thing at the bottom?
Yeah, that's an easement. That's,
Because how did
You said it didn't
how do they
exist
get, Peter and Susan, just because I can't
Yeah,
pronounce their last
right.
name, how do they get onto their property?
they get on their property from the driveway. Can you zoom out? See, right, their property comes in off the common driveway. See it? See it right there?
It's the one that veers to the left?
Yeah, it's kind of that weird shaped
Yeah,
lot. It's like a
right there.
pork chop.
Okay, thank you, Kim, that was.
Yeah, it's a pork chop shaped lot. I'm gonna piss off Mike, but this is the lot right here.
He did just give you a dirty look.
But that's a pork chop shaped lot. So this is the DiGirolamo's yard. It's a construction yard, and they have all their heavy equipment, they have materials in there.
So there's no house.
No, it's a building. This is
Yeah.
all commercial. The only house on East Belcher in this area is like an old house right on the other side of the street there
Okay.
that's kind of, it's better now, but, so this is meant to be, this is not going to be something that's going to be used every day. It's set up as an alternative, as an emergency. Mr. Mahoney has been talking to the DiGirolamos. We don't want any argument here. They worked good together. They share equipment. So, they know about this. We've talked to them. This isn't a surprise. They haven't, even though they haven't shown up, and I've talked to him personally, and he's okay with it. So I can give you firsthand information. But that's not meant to be a primary access. It's just not.
The yellow?
Yeah, this is not meant to be the primary access. All of this is meant to go out where Cam just showed you. And yeah, only a portion of it's paved.
And how wide is the road? The gray road?
I think it's 25 feet. It's either 25 or 24 feet.
So Tracy, I did specifically ask the fire department for their thoughts on that common driveway. And Dave Laracy wrote, I conducted a site visit of 61 East Belcher Road and found no issues. The road width and the road condition has not changed, and there is no vegetation encroaching in the roadway. The work that is being done is on a private site and has no public access or public safety issues. At the time of the site visit, there were no vehicles parked on the roadway. They were all parked on their own property. The fire department has no public safety concerns at this time.
They can turn a truck around?
I specifically asked about that, and it doesn't seem to be a concern that he has.
I think there's still some work to be done with Concom at this point.
We also, the plans and the stormwater was reviewed by our consultants. They're still working out with Bay Colony final details, but I think everything is being worked out, so no problems.
And how long has Lot 1A been utilized for that use of?
I Google Earthed it. Is that a verb?
I don't think so. He just made up a word.
And it's been cleared and trucks have been on it since 2003. And I think Mr. Mahoney purchased it in 2019, 18. So it's been used that way. you know, and there's some question about whether it should have been used that way. Understood. It's being brought back into compliance now. That's what the purpose of this is, as addition to getting the building. So since 2003 was when it was originally cleared, and you can see trucks parked there.
Yep. Anyone else over there?
No, not really.
So we're gonna ask the board to continue this so that things can get worked out.
Do we have a motion to continue the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing of the site plan review at 61 East Belcher Road
To,
until
I think we talked about March 9th, continuing it to.
March 9th at,
March 9th. March 9th, the meeting is gonna be at the high school,
maybe.
7:15.
7:15.
There will be no Zoom for that meeting.
Yeah.
The ZBA's meeting here.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Roll call vote?
Gary, aye.
Kevin, I.
Tracy, I.
Jeff, I.
Ron, aye. Okay, we'll see you in March.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be washed out last. Okay, being a little after 7:25 PM, informal discussion with the craft group.
Wow, we got a tabletop one going, huh? So well, you won't get in trouble because you don't have a laser, so Mike won't have to yell at you.
Laser would work
Gary
on
and
that.
Kevin can't see it, so.
They should be able to see it. Can you guys see it?
There he goes, Mike's just zoomed in.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. You can see it.
Oh, that's fine.
I think, good evening, Board. Dan Krantz, Beth Wheeling with Craft Group. Thank you for having us this evening. We were in front of Gabby and Paige and had a couple of things we brought to their attention, and they thought it maybe be best that we come in and informally give the board an update, and I thought at the time we would do that and then give an update on a bunch of the projects we have kind of in progress, some that have been in front of this board and some that have not. But Beth's going to give a quick update on our expanded parking project, the one that we saw you in spring, summer of '22. If you would, maybe give an update. And part of the reason we came to sit with Paige and Gabby was because of some slight modifications that we were looking to do with a basin. But go ahead, Beth, I'm sorry.
Okay, sure. So as Dan mentioned, one of the reasons that we're before you tonight is to tell you about one of the modifications that we had discussed with Paige and Gabby concerning a basin over near Lot 45. Do you remember which one? That's over by Annette
Yep.
Road. So what we are looking to do is kind of shift the location of one of the four bays because we have an easement that runs from the beginning of Lot 45 at Annette Road to where the cell phone tower is right next door. So in order to maintain our access, we needed to shift kind of the adjustment of where that basin was. We did have environmental partners review it, and I believe you have a copy of that letter that indicates that they don't have any issues with that. Everything maintains as it was approved, if not improving the quality. And as far as updates on the parking lots themselves, at this time, the clearing is complete for the most part across the project. And the berm that's across Lot 44 42C and 41 should be complete according to the specifications of our special permit and site plan decision by tomorrow, if not by Monday. And we'll be waiting until the weather gets nicer to do the plantings and fencing. And we are proceeding along with the clearing and earth removal over at lot 55B. And you'll see lots of work going on across the board. So everything's moving along.
Nice.
Had a pretty mild winter so far, so the contractor's been able to continue things and just making progress.
Is your target to be complete by a certain date, like a Taylor Swift concert or
Yes,
something?
that
Yes.
would be an accurate statement.
Okay. That's what we thought.
Yes,
And I won't, I will say safe and parkable. I don't know that it will be complete, but it will be,
You want to use those parking
we want to
spots?
use those parking lots, yes.
yeah, we'll continue to notify the town as we need to for our requirements within our permit decisions for basin install and things to that extent, but moving along.
Any issues raised by the neighbors?
No, except for, if you recall, one of the last meetings we had, or maybe, I don't know if you were here, but we did the gate. So ironically, they were seeking a gate so they could cut through. So, 3 neighbors petitioned for that, so, yeah.
Interesting.
So, nothing,
I'd rather they ask than just go ahead and cut it, so.
Yeah.
yeah, and the craft group worked nicely, everybody worked well together, so it was the neighbors were very appreciative, and it was a win-win, I guess. So, no, we have not heard any complaints that I'm aware of. So with respect to the basin, let's just to wrap that up, is the board okay? We did, like I said, there is a slight shift. It's not near the residential area. It's on the other side of a net road from the
Almost
residential.
imperceptible.
Yes, so, but we
Yeah.
did want to make sure there wasn't any, impacts to drainage, because neither of us know how to review that. And
We don't have
Environmental
John.
Partners did confirm that it was an inconsequential change, so I think it would be good if you could just okay that.
You wanna
Fine
vote?
with it. Any questions from the board or
No.
comments? Gary? Kevin?
No, I'm good.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve the site modification to the basin?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the site modification to the basin location,
Parking lot 45 basin.
parking lot 45 basin.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Gary, aye.
Kevin, aye.
Tracy, I.
Jeff, aye.
Ron, aye.
Thank you.
And then thank you. The other item that we had brought forth was our Lot 4A. When we were before you fall of last year, we had shown you 4A in its general outline when we were going through and reviewing where we had furthered the concept for the entire plaza for the new North End Zone project. And really, this is just more of a developed plan than what you'd seen before, and it's primarily our ADA parking where our Lot 4A used to be right here, and now this is where our security canopy is moved out to. So we basically just kind of flip-flop where the security canopy is and move that and put our ADA parking there.
So Dan, can I just, for folks at home, this is over in front of the Hall of Fame,
I'm
right?
sorry, yes, the Hall of Fame sits right here. The Patriot Place and the new Freedom Wind Tunnel sits right through here, just to put it in perspective. Yeah, and then the stadium's back right here.
Any changes since you last shared this with us, Dan?
There's really not, it's just a little bit of development. The road has changed a little bit. We've gone through, and I think the fire departments looked at it because they wanted to make sure we maintain access. There is one point here where the way it reads is there's a barrier there, but it's a movable barrier, because the point that Deputy Chief Larcy made was he wanted to make sure that at all times there was access, and just like we do today, there will always be access into the plaza for fire apparatus. And again, so we have same amount of ADA spots that we are required to have, and we have a handful of non-ADA spaces, and I think just based on conversation and kind of the way the world's headed right now, we're contemplating making those EV or charging stations, just because now they're closer to Patriot Place, closer to the stadium, to the new craft food building, and to our new North Plaza.
How many, did you lose any parking spaces with this
We
structure?
lost probably, we lost,
Oh, none of us could see you waving. Sorry.
we probably lost about 30 parking spaces in net.
And is the.
So Dan, I couldn't hear one of the things you were saying about the way the world's going in consideration of that. You were considering doing something, and I didn't hear what that was.
Kevin, we're going to add a handful of new car charging stations, electric vehicle charging stations.
Okay.
And is
Okay.
the lighthouse going back up?
The lighthouse? Yep.
Okay.
But I'll say stay tuned for next Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to be big days for us. They're adding these, we're getting to the finicky part of the lighthouse because it's, the steel is coming in and starting to create the lighthouse, and just the way the system works, you can't just put the single stick and be able to hold it in place, so they're building it on the ground as we speak, and they're going to do a big lift next Wednesday. So you'll see it go up about 60 feet more by next Wednesday, and then probably a week from next Wednesday, so 2 weeks, is when, right now the 22nd is when we're planning on topping out the steel in the lighthouse. So that'll be
Cool.
big days for us. And the only other thing is we've added, because this was a request, because this has always been a hard line with the landscape here, we've added just an access point into our lot 5.
Is that the security area where the people will be hanging out?
This,
So they're on the other side of that, right? So you got,
this and in, you're gonna go through our evolve
right,
system.
but before you get in, do you have enough space outside there for all the people?
Like, is there any more plaza without being in a secured area? Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, because you're kind of close to the parking in the street, outside the,
I defer to our design professionals because they do this across the world, and they've done all the modeling and they feel comfortable with it. And again, I don't know if you guys have seen it, probably Gary and Ron, have you used the Evolve system where it's really, it's not like the old school days where you got to go
Very
through the
quick.
scanner, and it's literally, you're walking through it. And it's, and it's the one-off person that gets pinged and they have to grab them and bring them back through and then do the old school way with them. But it's literally, you walk through unencumbered, so there shouldn't really be lines. So that's what we have for lot 4A. And then I just thought I would quickly give you an update on some other things. As it relates to the north end zone, again, thank you for asking, but that thing's moving along. We're going to start the west, or the east side, the glazing will start, so here by mid-March, we expect to have the entire thing enclosed. And still driving for the home opener, to have it open for business, and that's moving along nicely. There's a north end zone bar that we have received a permit for in the northeast corner next to the field tunnel where the players come out. We have started this week construction on that, so we took out some seats and some portions of the seating bowl, and so that work officially started this week, and we look to have that operational again, same kind of time frame, July and August of next year. We are expanding our row of honor, so a big push to just heighten the awareness of what the row of honor is and just the visibility of it. So we're working through some drawings with that, and I think they just went into the building department this week. So there'll be a big video board in front of it, a lot more space, and again, just a lot more visibility.
That's great.
For those particular individuals. And then the only other thing is, you walk around the stadium now where we have this two huge new scoreboards, and everything else that we have going on is a lot of digital assets. And we've started received our permit from the building department and started a huge new, I'll call it digital control room. We'll have that operational by the first preseason game as well. And then something we've been working with police and fire and state police as well is a bunch of upgrades to security command. Our command has really kind of been in the footprint that we are in for 20 plus years now. So with input from state police, from Foxborough Fire, Foxborough PD, we're reworking security command, and that work will probably start in May of this year.
Will that also be done by the home opener? Can we push for that? Because remember, if that was a big one.
I know.
Okay, so whatever you can do, Dan, to get that on the.
Everybody's bringing that in my ear. The problem becomes.
Don't move away from the microphone.
The problem with that is a little bit of supply side. This is exactly what I told our people. We can get it done if I can get the equipment here on time. Because this is a big command, it's going to be like a big command center. It has some pretty hefty HVAC systems. And if I can get all my HVAC systems here in time, I can have it done. So that's my caveat. We can do the bricks and mortar piece of it, but can I get the equipment here? I don't know that yet. We just got the specifications arrived today. So we have it out to folks to see what the supply chain is, but we understand the desire.
When did you say the new bar was going to be done? Next year?
Nope, nothing.
Oh, you said next year, didn't he?
I don't. If I did, I said it. If I did, I was incorrect.
Okay, it's going to be done this year.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, it's going to take you over a year to build a bar.
We have.
Go do that.
We have February to, August 15th.
So the goal is to finish the north end zone project by the opening day, is that it? I mean, are you?
The caveat for the north end zone bar, or for
everything.
the north end zone, is opening day is what we're driving for. So the preseason, it will not be ready for preseason. It's scheduled to be open for the home opener.
Okay.
Which is actually an improvement of what you were forecasting in the beginning. You were talking about November.
Yes.
So that's good.
So now the news around town, which you know a little bit, we brought it up, and is about this ticket price thing. And one of the things that I'm getting a lot of questions about is whether the craft group has enough parking that they own of their own to accommodate all on-site parking. And I did look back at the MIPA documents, and it looks like you guys are saying you have about, 24,000 spaces? Is that on-site? Like, is that something you have handy that you could sort of verify? Because I'm getting a lot of questions about it.
Didn't actually bring it tonight.
No, you don't have it tonight, but just so that's something we can look. But
next week we can bring in all our counts.
But generally speaking, you guys have, because I remember in the old days, it was always that you needed satellite lots because you didn't have sufficient parking, the satellite lots. So are we now in a position where you guys really do, you have north of 24,000 on-site spaces? Okay.
We added roughly in what the work Beth is doing right now, the 3,000 spaces in this expanded parking.
Yeah.
So, yes, and we can bring you.
Yeah,
we have
just
the
so you know,
spreadsheet.
as that evolves, that'll become a question. I'm getting a lot of questions.
Why?
And what?
I don't understand why this is a big question.
The word is, and it hasn't been officially, but from that the NFL has approved that ticket prices will now include parking. So basically, everybody in theory could park on the craft group property because they'll be paying for a ticket. So as you can imagine, satellite lot owners are concerned, they call us. There's just a lot of people sort of talking,
Okay, I didn't know about the tickets, including parking.
Yeah, but we haven't, I don't know that we've heard anything official, but it came, from my top down. So it's just been something that's percolating all over the place. So it'd be just helpful for us to have. I did go through the MIPA documents and I'm like, I think they have all the parking on site. I mean, I don't know what it used to be, but I do think they have the parking. So it's an evolving process. There's some concerns about traffic management plan, et cetera. So I think there'll be some discussions in the future if this quote unquote rumor is really true. But it's a little more than a rumor, I think.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we'll bring all that in.
Yeah, I know you guys don't even know yet fully yet either. So it's just
Not at this level.
But just so you know, that will be,
Mr.
there will be
Kraft
some
might
big questions. Hmm?
Mr. Kraft might know.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows. Bill Keegan's the one who told me, so what his sources are, I don't know, but, yeah.
Looks great.
That's what we have.
Excited about the tower. That's the light.
Yeah, now look, next week, do a drive-by.
I will.
You guys have your social media crew out there and they do their little videos and
They
stuff?
will.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yeah, and if you look you drive into the stadium right now on your left in what is that, lot 2?
You can see it being built.
Well, we have just these huge precast panels are sitting in the parking lot, because they're starting to get backed up because the steel is just, a couple of weeks behind, but, so the precast shown up, these huge precast panels, which will be the face of the lighthouse, so they're scheduled to go in, start to go in, right after the steel's done, so.
That's awesome.
It's really gonna start to take shape over the next 30 days.
Great.
Yeah.
Keep announcing those concerts too.
That does a lot for construction, I'm telling you. I'm really excited. Yes, I am very excited. All our It is.
Well, the last one was good.
No, we've got a good team that's working with us, and it has some challenges, but it's great to have them, and great to have the concerts, and to be back in that business again.
Yeah, sure
It
is.
really is.
Good.
Thank you.
So Dan, if I may interrupt for just 1 second, just before you leave, I'm just curious, so if this, presuming that this ticket parking thing gets approved by the league, et cetera, will that also apply to other events like concerts or soccer or anything else?
I do not know that, Kevin, as I sit here tonight. I will try to get smarter on that, so I have actual answers for you.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're going to be talking to you guys about the new traffic management plan, so just so we know, and when people call us, we can at least address it sooner or later.
No, hopefully I can have some of those answers when we come to sit with Paige with the parking counts.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Walnut Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So did anybody have a chance to look at the plans that I sent out for Walnut Street? Do we have copies here, Dave? Okay. Yeah, we only have one, so they're hard to come by. They're a big set with color, so maybe we can share them. But, I should be talking about it.
Tracy, why don't you go over there with them? I've already looked at them.
You only have one set?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, it's okay. I'm fine.
Nobody's looking at them?
Okay, but I'm gonna.
We'll just, yes, Ron did his homework. Good job, Ron. These are the plan sets that show the 200 all affordable senior apartments in a campus-like setting. I believe it's 3 buildings, the 3 stories max. There's amenity areas and whatnot. That was what someone commented on, that there was a lot of amenity areas. There have been 3 neighborhood meetings, 1 with the developer and 2 prior to the developer being brought on board. The buffer to the North High residence was was increased. The developer has made an effort to maintain the existing tree line and to try to protect, the neighborhood. Yeah, feel free to open them up and take a look at them. Basically, the zoning board just likes to hear comments and find out what other boards think, and I think they'd like to know if, the planning board has any comments, and go from there.
My only comments were the 3 stories, but when you and I talked about it the other day, it made a lot more sense than the original cottage plan that we were kicking around, but.
Yeah, we couldn't get the density, there couldn't be the density of 200 units if they were cottage style,
Is
unfortunately.
this the one the abandoned blooms were?
No.
It's a whole different one, okay.
Yeah.
Thought so.
Yeah, this is the bottom of Walnut Street, and about where the ramp goes on to 95.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But diagonally across from the the farm stand.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and associated with this project will be a signal, and not only a signal at Walnut and 140, but there'll be a signal, I believe, at the bottom of the off-ramp from 95 now, so it'll be two, kind of like what you see in like Plainville and Rentham, where you have to kind of have a signal there.
What was the rationalization behind the 3 stories?
For the density they need to make the project viable.
Okay, and this is just for,
Strictly senior.
and what is considered senior?
I believe it's 60 and older, could be 55.
Are you there yet?
Not yet.
And it's going to be affordable, kind of like a lot of the housing authority products. It goes affordability down to 30%, which, you know, some of these 40Bs we're not seeing the 30%, but this one is being, it's a low income tax credit. It's not exactly like Carlin and Court because the housing authority runs that one. This will be run or owned by a developer, but they have to run it on behalf of the housing authority. So they have the deep discounts, you know, income-based discounts. So it's 30, 40, 50%, 60. It goes up to 80, but a lot of the product is going to be lower income to really help those residents that aren't getting any help for years, you know, the folks waiting on Carlin and Court and those type of products. And it also will be, you know, quite modern. We know that there'll be people.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think I told Ron this, and hopefully I'm not misspeaking, it'll be confirmed next week, but I believe that, you know, each building will have 2 elevators. I remember them saying they didn't want to just have one, so people had long hallways, kind of like Las Vegas Hotel. There'll be 2 elevators in each, and, you know, they're designed for accessibility. Not every unit is accessible, but they have, you know, some certain things they can do to make them accessible and keep them accessible, and then there will be truly accessible units, you know, with like the counters that don't have cabinets under them and whatnot. So it's truly designed for the senior population.
And there's ample parking.
Can you touch on the amenities a little bit, Paige, or is it early for that?
I don't really know what I mean, there was like going to be pickleball, and, you know, there's a community building, and there's going to be outdoor walkways, and I don't remember specific. I haven't looked at it that closely on that regard, but there was going to be a lot of, you know, amenities for residents out there. At one point, they were showing a dog park, and we were like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, it does look really
And I'm not sure, there may be a schematic in here, but I didn't
And towards
see
the
it.
back is not color, but that you can see the elevations.
And so how far from the Walnut Street
Oh, the North High residents, you mean?
would this driveway be?
Oh, doesn't show? I'd have to look at the plan.
It may, I'm not seeing
a
it.
better site plan.
I'd have to look.
What is this? That could be.
Yeah, I think this is the highway, this is the corner here.
Is it the corner?
it's-
Yeah.
So it's pulled back as far as you can, and then they have, you know, obviously the secondary, that is emergency access, here's the buffer.
And so, is this signalized as well?
No, that will not be signalized.
Signalized? Like Googled?
Signalized is a real word.
Oh, I guess Google
It's not a
doesn't.
Google Earth word term. And you see, they put the amenities sort of against there so that it's, you know, the building's a little further away from the homes.
Right, because the closest residence is probably right about here.
Is it on North High?
Yeah.
No, it's on Walnut, the closest.
Oh, the closest
Yeah,
one, okay, sorry.
And where is North High?
Up here.
Okay. Looks awesome.
Flip it towards the
Oh,
back.
it's 55, I can get in.
I mean, well, it
Soon.
look like building.
Yeah, there's elevations.
I thought there was a bigger
I'm
site.
going to a deserted island
Show the
with my
entire site.
Kindle. Does the ZBA have any concerns?
They haven't, sorry, let me get on the mic. They haven't started yet. They are, next Thursday night is their first meeting, so they have not had a chance to be seen and to be presented with the overview.
Any concerns from staff?
No.
Still show.
I mean, I haven't done a detailed dig in. I have to write a comment letter, but generally speaking, I mean, this is a tough one just because I've been working on this project for, 4 or 5 years?
Since you started?
Since I started, so, and it's just not something I've ever done, but it's just really worked out that,
So something bigger.
with the land and working with Greg Spear, and the development team. The great thing about this development team, and one of the reasons the Housing Authority went with them, is every property they've ever developed like this, they still own. They don't flip them. They stay in the management. It's Peabody Properties. They're well-known. They're established. So this is, we feel really good about the product that's going to be built and the company that we've been working with. So,
This is the entire site, right? Here's all the abutters here.
but I think, it's a great, it's a corner of a highway. Getting the signal is going to be a major thing. Even running the sewer down Walnut Street from Central down Walnut, it's going to then serve Walnut Terrace, which is an existing housing authority property that's got failed septic systems. It opens up the ability for any of those businesses at the other side of Walnut to tie into the sewer if they want to. So from that regard, it might expand tax base and capabilities up there.
I know the other potential development is getting a lot of attention and concern around it. Anything like that with this one?
We don't know yet. We don't think so. We assume there'll be a handful of neighbors that have concerns, but we believe this, being that this is more of a community project, and I don't want to be naive, we do kind of think there's a lot of positive momentum behind this. This is something we've all worked on for years. So, and the community, like I said, we've had 3 neighborhood meetings. It's been very well vetted. So we do anticipate there will be some concerns, but we've also had people follow us out after the neighborhood meetings saying, we're really in support of this. And they're from the neighborhood, so.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything negative from the neighborhood, and I'm in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the people that are on that side, on that end of North High.
So, so does anybody have any comments?
I think it's great.
Want to offer anything to the zoning board?
I think it's great.
Yeah, I'll give it a positive.
2 thumbs up.
Any specifics? What about it makes it positive?
The way they put it to 3, so there's to achieve the density that's needed, but without the crowded.
Massing.
Yes, yes. I think the light, the signals that are going to be gotten, the sewer, that's huge. And I think, they're all over, not that I'm on Facebook anymore, but Foxborough discussion group and different things. Everyone's saying we need more affordable housing in town, especially for the older generation, the older folks, as well as others, and that it's going to meet that need.
Yeah, and in the earlier meetings, that was one of the biggest things with the seniors, is they were stating that they're stuck in their homes. They
Right.
can't afford to
Go anywhere.
move because they could sell and make a profit, but where they're gonna go?
Right.
There was no housing available in Foxborough.
Right.
I don't even think it was a waiting list of 10, 12 years.
That's how it is in a lot of towns. But it's awesome that Foxborough is going to address it.
And this is gonna be primarily, Foxborough resident gets preference, or is?
Well, that's one of the requests. It has to be approved by the zoning board, and that might be something you could include in your report that I will write for you, is the zoning board has the ability to stipulate up to 70% local preference. Now, that does have to be approved by DHCD, but it might be good to encourage the zoning board to include that as a desired
I
condition.
absolutely think that should be included.
Well, but that doesn't mean if Foxborough residents can't fill it, it can be filled by folks. from other
Absolutely. It
towns.
just means that the first lottery, it's like if you're a
So it is a
resident and
lottery, that
employee,
was-
it is going to be through fair housing, it's going to be through a lottery, and then there would be a local option, there'd be X number of units available to locals. I'm guessing they'll fail. I think Greg Spear assumes that a lot of people that are in current might want to move over there. And then that gives them the option of maybe updating some of the units, because they're also going to get some lease payments on this property. So that'll provide a recurring revenue stream for the Housing Authority, which gets practically nothing. So, but yeah, so we don't anticipate a problem, but absolutely, the units would not sit empty waiting for local residents. And the other caveat is that that local preference is only on the first round. After that, you can't, in any rental with that local preference option, it's only on the initial occupancy, and after that, it just goes by the ranking that the state runs, for all housing authorities.
And no concern about, I know often what's raised is police and fire and that type of stuff know we have the capacity?
Yep, we've worked with them, they're well aware of it. I mean, I'm sure they know there'll be more calls there, but they did request senior, as opposed to, not senior housing. They feel they can handle the concerns that come with that setting, with senior citizens. So they have been involved from the get-go on this, and they're well aware, and they did promote the senior option.
Awesome. Do you have what you need?
I think I do. So local preference, you guys are in support of that?
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yes.
Gentlemen?
Kevin and Gary, any thoughts or any input?
I'm just pleased to see that this is traveling as far down the road as it is. I mean, it's been a long time since the years when we encouraged John Mitchell to use the housing authority to purchase the property, and it's been there for a long time. And there's a lot of additional benefits that are coming along with it. As Tracy mentioned, the lights, which are always a problem there at Walnut and 140, especially people trying to cross over to the other side. And I think the sewer is a huge thing. Our local, reps and senator have been very supportive of it and have helped us get, the ear of the people, in government to help us out. Jake Auchincloss was very helpful from the federal side to make sure that there were awards that were given that'll flow to us for this project. And I don't think there's any question about the fact that our seniors need additional housing. And so no matter how the shakeout comes, whether they come from Carl Annan or one of the other properties that we own and move over into there, that, as Paige mentioned, that will make room for others. And the way the housing authorities all work right now is, regardless of what town you live in, you can sign up for senior housing in other communities, and it's a wait list. So especially if that first go round, we will have new neighbors who potentially will move in either there or into existing housing that we have. And I thought that the thing that Paige mentioned about them having an opportunity potentially to update some of the older units at Carl Annan or at Centennial Court would also be a big benefit. So, I mean, I'm very much in support of this, and I have been since we convinced them to go to the state and purchase it. I'm just hoping that we'll be able to convince the neighborhood that if for any people who have questions about it, that they can get more comfortable with it, and that the zoning board will do their best. I know they will to get behind it and make sure things go properly.
Well said.
Yeah, I have to agree with Kevin. This is a big boom for the town, big win in so many different directions for so many different reasons. I spent quite a bit of time looking over the plans today, and I was quite impressed with what I perceived as a lot of thought that went into it, because I was very pleased with the results, the way it's laid out. And I'm very anxious that finally something's going to get done with this. They started talking about this back when I was on AdCom ages ago. Now it's about time, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. I will draft a letter and probably run it by Kevin and get that into the zoning board for next week.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, and I know we're in a rush because everybody wants to go home, so our favorite topic, zoning handout. Woohoo, is that why Mr. Buckley's back?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh.
I thought he was going
was a
home to
joke.
his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Definitely should take him out.
So you have a handout here. I'm sorry for the late, that it just came, but Barney and I were literally working on this up till right before I came. And it's a work in progress, and I don't want to, just because it's in writing, it doesn't mean everything's established. But we've been really brainstorming around the warehouse. So to start, to kick this off, we've been really trying to figure out, after the 2 Washington Street issue, and the trucking discussions that have gone on in town, and the questions of like what uses Foxborough wants to attract and whatnot. The first proposal we have is that we would eliminate entirely the use truck terminal, general commodity, and public warehouse. So that's the first proposal. And then when we were looking at the use table and the map, we were kind of wondering why up in that area where we were at 2 Washington we have a split zone, and it's limited industrial and general industrial. And it was kind of weird of why the general industrial is up there, and I have a map with me.
Sorry.
Are you two paying attention?
Yes.
I'm not
Spell my
sure.
name wrong. Can I ask, just, I mean, does this mean we can never have a truck terminal, general commodity, public warehouse in our town? Okay.
Not a new one. Okay, I'm like, where did you go? Sorry, I dropped my pen. I left. It would not be a new one, and we are redefining warehouse later. It's just that, I mean, I think there's a difference between a warehouse and a truck terminal. And, the question has been raised whether Foxborough wants to be, home to truck terminals, where the whole basis of operation is trucks and tractor trailers. But that is for you all to decide. This is not up to me, so that's why I'm putting this on paper, but I really am interested on the input of the board. And Kevin knows that, I mean, I've just been sort of throwing things out there and trying to figure things out. I've talked to Mr. Buckley, I've talked to some industrial landowners. We don't want to be too heavy-handed, but on the other hand, Foxborough is fortunate. You have a stadium. It's a very desirable town. You're not desperate for certain uses. I mean, some of these uses you can leave to other towns. I mean, we all know we need trucks, but does Foxborough need to be the home to the trucks? We all saw what happened on Beach Street, and just like how hard it is to manage, those bollards getting knocked over and everything. We are seeing an increase of trucks, regardless whether, so anyway, one of the things that we came up with is on this map, which this is up here by Panis Road and Perry Drive. I asked Mr. Buckley, because I consider him the encyclopedia of all zoning and land use in town. I asked why, we have 3 different districts. We have the pinks, SI, we have the green, general industrial, and then we have the blue, and you didn't really know. So then we started looking at the uses, and Gabby went through and kind of helped me out by looking at the difference between general industrial and limited, and there were very limited differences between the two. So we kind of said, why wouldn't this all just be blue? No, well, not blue. Yeah, blue. Sorry, I get so confused. Why would this all be blue instead of the green here?
I wonder about the oddest stuff.
We do. Well, there's a reason for this, and let me back up. One of the things that's out there, is Schneider Electric. I'm just going to be honest. They've left the Neponset Street site, and if you look at the map here, it is the green that matches up there. So the question became, they're going to be looking for new uses there. We don't know what's going to happen with that. They're not ready to talk to us, but the question started to rise of, would we ever want warehouses and whatnot in this area?
No.
Right. So then it started to say, well, if we don't allow warehouses in this area, then we're not allowing them up here in Panis Road, which is clearly where you probably want warehouses. So then that's where it begged the question of, well, maybe we should have this as general industrial, and then we would change the zoning to not allow warehouses in this district, because this is really the only place it is except up there. So that's the sort of reasoning behind all that, is just trying to look ahead and look, for less conflict in the future when, Schneider goes to sell their land, and we assume they'll sell it. I mean, and we don't know who's going to go there. I mean, they got big buildings, they've got sewer. That's something that's coming up. So with number 2 on this list, is a list of all the parcels that are in the light green up top here on Perry and Phelps Road and Panis Road, they would be rezoned to LI. And then on number 3, this is where I'm looking for input. This is where I have changing warehouses to special permits and putting it no in the general industrial for a reason I just discussed. But I have 2 of them highlighted, the highway business and the LI. The LI, I think we keep, we just keep that as a special permit. That gives you all the ability to review the use and whatnot. My question is around highway business. Do we want to keep warehouses allowed in highway business? And the reason I ask that is, highway business is this green area. So I'm torn about it, because this green area is down here by Forbes Crossing and that whole area. So it's not too bad, but like Fisher Street and all that, I mean, that's questionable, but there is Cabot Industrial Park there, so that's questionable, maybe. Then there's Bradley's Plaza, no. And then, where's the other one? Oh, up here, This is, kind of makes sense, but Route 1 and Main Street, so it's kind of Main Street and Route 1. So that's a question that I could go either way on in the highway business. You know, Barney and I were talking about it, and we were he was like, I kind of think warehouses belong on Route 1. And I said, yeah, but what about all this blue down here? And so then he was like, oh, good point. So we're kind of going around, but like, you know, where would you want these uses to be, and would you want to still allow them in these green areas? You don't have to decide tonight, but that's something I'm really looking for input on, because I don't think I should make that decision.
Yeah. No, I think that if we limit them to more of a close proximity to highways,
It'll keep the trucks
right,
off
and
the residential.
away from the residential areas would be the ultimate goal.
I agree.
So that's tough, because really the only place that isn't on a highway in the green that I'm looking at right now is the Bradley's Plaza. But I don't think a warehouse is going to go there, so I think we're
Unless
pretty...
they knock it down.
Yeah, I think we're pretty safe on that, but the other two, the Forbes Crossing area is definitely near, 140 and
be fine.
95. And then the one up on Route 1 is, on Main Street. And again, it would be a special permit, so maybe you just leave it as allowed. And
Well, keep in mind, I mean, the debacle of Washington Street, sorry, is Route 1.
I know. Gary and Kevin, you have any thoughts about highway business and warehouses?
Not at this time, I'd like to think about it,
Okay.
but I do,
Yeah, the Forbes
I belong
Crossing,
to Route 1.
yeah, the Forbes Crossing thing's a little bit concerning, only because it's so different, and there's a lot of residential around there too.
Yeah.
Well, plus that,
I don't know, I'm with Gary. I think I just need to cogitate on this a little bit and see, I'm certainly not against it, whatever we do of making it special permit, but it's a question of whether you do a hard no or you do a special permit.
Right. Okay. So we'll take that under advisement. So you guys, now, Tracy, you have something fun to think about, and when you guys are having a beer or something at Shoveltown, you can really...
You're such a good person.
And here's another discussion item that is sort of new to the table. Kevin, Gabby, and I met with Doug King this week, and one of the proposals is that we're looking to the planning board to discuss and possibly sponsor is changing the CPOD, the Chestnut Payson Overlay District, that's the area over by the state hospital, to allow an inn. And to be honest, the real reason for that is that Doug would like to do an inn over behind Conrad's.
I thought behind Conrad's was going a daycare.
Oh, yeah, that fell apart.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that fell apart.
And
There was
what's
a
the
financing issue. They couldn't, when the interest rates went up,
Gotcha.
they walked away.
What about, what is the definition of an inn?
Oh, thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Definition of an inn, an establishment within a single building that is designed and intended to provide lodging accommodations on a transient overnight basis of not more than 30 consecutive days within not more than 25 separate units, and that contains a restaurant holding a common victualler's license, liquor license, and other required authorizations for the provision of food and drink to the establishment's guests and the general public, both within the such building and outdoors on its patios and sidewalks.
Yeah, I'm not feeling this one.
No?
I don't think an inn belongs there.
No, I agree with that. Does not belong there.
All right, well, the
If I-
vision is that it would be like a farmer's daughter type setup in the front, and then there'd be a 3-story inn.
Are you talking like the Blackington Inn?
I've never been to the Blackington Inn.
Well, that's not a residential inn, the Blackington.
Well,
Yeah, it is.
yes, it is. You can stay at the inn.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. My mistake.
But that's on a main road. I don't
Yeah, is that?
I don't see it belonging there.
Is it like a Rally Point? Wasn't Rally Point? Is that an inn?
Yeah, it's Rally Point.
That's the first thing I thought of.
It's.
No.
I'm sure if Doug was the one to build this, that it would be more like the Colonel Blackington in Attleboro, but that's on a main route. Well, that's on a main route.
What is?
The Blackington. This is no. I got to, and especially right by that.
Well, do you want to know some of the background of why there would be an incentive to do this? Is that it would result in a significant tie-in to sewer by the remainder of the Chestnut Green properties. They're all seeking to tie into sewer, and town meetings have accepted it. But Doug has already paid to tie into the private system there. And he doesn't want to have to pay again to get onto the town system. So he hasn't done so yet. If he were able to do something like this and get such a viable development there, then it would allow him to tie in the rest of it. And then Chestnut Green could tie into the town system. The town would take it over. And the benefit to that is the town wouldn't have to spend over $1 million to upgrade its lift station. It could use the current lift station or plant for that. And there would also be millions of dollars in sewer tie-in fees for the sewer system. So there is some financial.
Town or
for the town. Because the
$millions
Chestnut Green would go away, the Chestnut Green private system would go away, and, I mean, it would be taken over by the town, and they would all tie into MFN. But it's at a considerable expense to do so. They have to buy all the capacity.
So it'd be millions of dollars for Foxborough.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, well,
Kate, I got a question for you.
yes.
Is this the same argument they had when they were talking about doing something where the auditorium is?
Yes, unfortunately, that is gone by the wayside. The auditorium's not an option right now.
so, but, I mean,
Alternative, okay.
Yeah, this is kind of a different,
we would, like, I'm concerned with adding, I get it, millions of dollars. I agree with that, totally in support. But that rotary, you know, depending on how much traffic an inn would generate,
do you really think it's going to,
if there's a restaurant, sure. That traffic circle,
Well, there's restaurants right there now, right now. You
Right,
know,
why would we add
Conrad's is
to
right
it?
there.
Why would we
So are
add
the
to
other
it?
restaurants.
why would we add to it?
I don't think it's
I don't
all
think so
that
either,
bad.
actually. I drive it every day.
Yeah.
I do too. I live right by it. I just,
No, I don't think it's all that bad, Tracy. It handles game day traffics. It handles,
that's with controls in place.
well, there's no control at the rotary itself, at the roundabout.
Yes, and no, you know, obviously, it's not an optimal design coming in off 140. We've even talked about that in the past, and granted, but just the rotary itself, I think, functions.
I mean, I feel like an inn would generate less traffic than a daycare.
That I would agree with.
And so I mean, yes, on Saturday and Sunday mornings, you know, if it were a place like the Farmer's Daughter, you know, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to get people there, but I
Know the
mean,
owner at the Farmer's Daughter, if you would like to be put in contact with them.
well, Doug is the landlord for the Farmer's Daughter.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, he can't guarantee it, but he, you know, seems to think,
They had opened that restaurant next to the Farmer's Daughter, and that, they ended up closing it, so they might be a little gun shy.
yeah, I have no idea, but that, it would be something like that product. So, I mean, I guess I know what you're saying, I just don't, and it's up to the town, obviously, but I don't know that use, that people are going to be thronging to an inn, and, you know, yes, a restaurant, but like Kevin said, I mean, Conrad's is busy every Friday night, you know, there's a wait, and, I mean,
I think the millions probably outweigh the minimal downside.
yeah. So that's just, I know that's the first you're hearing it, it's relatively new, it's something
It's an
that
interesting
we just met
concept.
about this week.
I think it needs a little more vetting.
Definitely give you some time to think about it.
I would absolutely strike that 30-day provision. I mean, you've got residents up in the business park, and there are certainly longer stays than that. I mean, almost like permanent resident.
Yeah, but I don't know that, we were talking about maybe we don't want that.
We don't want that. I mean, that's what they have the Mariner. We don't want, no, this is not a home, like a home base. This is, you go and you stay for a weekend, maybe you go to a game, maybe you go to a concert, and you go home.
I think that was the goal, is to keep it
Yeah.
short term.
agree with
Go ahead,
that.
Kevin.
And yeah, one of the reasons for that is that the full-time living it was capped at the 203 units there. So we don't want to encourage an additional new apartment community, a permanent resident, whatever, however you want to phrase that, because it would fly in the face of that thing. This thing, you know, because it is more of has a more of a transient nature or a timeline on it, I think, you know, works, you know, in a way that allows something like this to happen. And, you know, everybody's right. I mean, the benefit probably outweighs the negatives that might be there. But I mean, we, as a board, we need to, come together and make that decision, and then town meeting's gonna have a say too, so.
Right. So this is your first time seeing it. Want to give it some thought, read over it.
Ruminate.
Yeah, ruminate. That's a lovely word. And then there's a bunch of definitions to ruminate over. Some of them more housekeeping, like the graveyard and the setback and tattoo parlors. Those are all sort of coming from zoning and building department, looking for some insight. The in definition, and then we did redefine warehouse. And that definition is changed over our original one because it gets a lot more specific. It basically makes clear that a fulfillment center isn't a warehouse. And some of those questions that came up during our Washington Street project, that our bylaw was so vague that it was hard to know. This gives a little more refinement as to what exactly a warehouse is and is not. And then the other ones I think I've briefly covered, I won't go through them, but limited site plan review is just formalizing that process we followed for the exempt uses. So I kind of already presented that. And then housekeeping is to get rid of the words town planner, and change it to land use and economic development department. Require that applicants meet with the planning department or the land use department before a special permit, and then fixing a typo about environmental impact statements. So some housekeeping mixed in with some real substance. So please do ruminate, and let's have some fruitful discussions in the future. Nothing's decided. This is all kind of new, and yeah.
I would just like to go on record that ruminate is a real word. Googled is not.
It is.
As a practical matter, would you propose handling this in multiple articles
It's kind of written out, I think, the way it is.
as a single one?
Which
No,
one?
separate
These are all the
articles.
numbers.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Each number would be a different article.
Okay. You want a motion?
You sure it's okay?
Kevin, you okay?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Paige about this, one near the bottom of 9.7 for the pre-application process, blah, blah, blah. Can you just go over that for one more second? I know Barney thinks it should be totally rewritten.
Yeah, let's see.
What number?
9 point, on page, no page.
It's down
Oh,
the
that's
bottom.
weird. There's no page
Yes,
numbers.
there is, down the bottom.
They all play page 5 of 5. It's on page not 5, or page 5, I mean, sorry.
Actually, the actual page 5.
So it says, where it's highlighted, Barney is suggesting that this section be rewritten in its entirety to be consistent with the wording for section 9142. So I think he just, it's a little more change that's probably needed, but it made the paragraph more elegant, the way, if you had just merely
Okay.
replaced it. I can look up,
Okay.
let me just see what it currently says.
Right below it.
So it's right below.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, and the time of. Yeah, but that doesn't really explain why he, like, the way, the rewriting is a little interesting, isn't it?
Can't take that to the senior housing.
Julius. Isn't it right below it?
It is, but I just wanted to see, but
It is.
there's a lot of stuff, but I just was curious why Barney made a point to make that comment. Like, Barney actually had this note in here, so I just wanted to see why, because it actually, this is how it currently reads. Prior to submitting a building application for a project within the FCOD, the applicant shall contact the town planner to arrange a pre-application meeting to review the project. The town planner will coordinate, if applicable, further pre-application meetings with the planning board and/or a joint administrative meeting. The purpose of the pre-application process is to answer questions and concerns in order to streamline the review process for applicants. So he did change, some substance, and I think he just wanted people to know that he kind of made it a more elegant paragraph. So there was more than just the,
And just changing the town planner to director of land use, blah, blah, blah.
yeah. he made it
We can
more-
ruminate.
Yes, yes.
And you can ruminate. I know you missed me the other week.
You're very bovine this evening with the rumination,
When you tune into planning board, you get English lessons as well.
I'm gonna look up.
Well, that's why this thing's highlighted in pink.
Make a motion to adjourn.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Kevin, aye.
Tracy,
Roll call
aye.
there.
Good night, guys.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Good night.